Hey everybody, this is Gregory from Dapp University. So welcome back to this multi-part tutorial where I'm showing you how to code your own cryptocurrency and build your own ICO on Ethereum. In this video, I'm going to show you how to deploy the token sale website, the ICO website that we built in our previous videos. And in the last video, I showed you how to deploy the smart contracts to the Rinkeby test network. So make sure you've seen all those videos up to this point and have all the code in the project up to this point before we continue. And be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications with the bell below in order to see further videos in this series when they come out. And if they're already out, you can just check the link at the end of this video or just watch the next video in the playlist. So I've got a link down to the code in the description below that you can pick up with if you want to just drop in at this point in the tutorial. And if you are picking up at this point in the tutorial, make sure you install your dependencies with npm install. So let's talk about what we're going to do today. We're going to take our token sale website, all of our client-side assets, the index.html file and the app.js file and all the libraries we pulled in, and we're going to deploy them to a remote server so we can get them on the web, and you can visit your token sale website just through a browser. You can send the link to anyone you want to and show off your work. So we're going to do that today with GitHub Pages. So GitHub Pages offers a pretty nice, easy workflow for deploying just client-side web pages like this. And I'll walk you through how to do that. So first, you're going to need a GitHub account. So if you don't have one already, you can just sign up at github.com. I'll leave that to you. And once we do that, we want to create a new GitHub repo. So you can go to your page. This is actually my Dapp University GitHub page. You can go here and follow along with all my projects. So for you, you'll go here and click New. You'll create a new repository. You can just say token sale. I've already created this on my account, so I'm just going to say token sale 2. And you can add whatever description you'd like. We can say Dapp University token sale tutorial. And you can just leave it public and just say create repository. All right. Now we got some instructions here about setting up your repository, and I'll kind of just walk you through what we'll do here. We won't follow necessarily these steps verbatim. I'll show you what we need to do. So while we're here, we'll take this URL, right? You can see it in a couple different places. This Git URL. You can see it here as well in this form, and let's copy it. So we'll minimize this. We'll go to our project, and what we want to do is configure our Git repository to set up a remote repository. So if you haven't been following along while I've been committing, and if you're unfamiliar with Git, you might need to initialize a Git repository. You can do that like this, git init. I'm not going to do this because I've already got a Git repository here. If you want to read more about Git, you can just go to the website here. This is git-scm.com. But I'm just going to assume that you've been following along and committing to history where I've been committing in the videos. We can see the history here, right? So anyways, what we want to do is configure this Git project to track an origin branch. So that's just going to be a remote repository. So we do that like this, git remote add origin, and then paste our link in there. So I'm not actually going to do this because I've already got an origin repository, but that's what you would do. You can also check to see if that was successful by typing git remote -v to see, the remotes that you have listed. And if you see origin here and you see the URL you just pasted, that was successful. So this is my original token sale. Now the next thing we want to do is just push to that origin repository to ensure that we set everything up correctly. So we'll just say git push -u origin master. All right, mine's already up to date because I've been keeping my repository up to date, but you should see some readout here. We'll tell you what, I'll just add the second repository just to have a second remote. So we'll say git remote add, I'll say origin 2, and I'll paste in this. Okay, git remote -v, and now I see origin 2 here listed. Okay, so then I'll push to my new repository that I just created. I'll say git remote add, git push -u origin 2 master. Okay, now this is the readout that you should see, right? So you'll see some logging here, and you'll say new branch master. All right, so let's go to GitHub, and I'll just if you're still on this page, this is the kind of default page that you see when there's no code here. So I'm going to refresh, and you should see all the files for your new project. All right, so now that that's successful, now that we have a place for our code, this is going to be kind of the central repository for creating our GitHub page as well. We need this project that we just created on GitHub to exist before we can create a GitHub page, because it's going to use the code in this directory in order to build our GitHub page, which we'll make in a minute. So I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to show you how to set up your project to deploy to GitHub pages. So, sorry, I'm going to bump up this font a little bit so you guys can see. What we want to do is create a folder on our computer where we're going to store all the assets that we want to commit to GitHub pages. We saw a second ago that we have all these files here in this directory, and we want to create a new folder in here that GitHub is going to know about, that's going to contain all of the client-side assets. It's going to contain all the files for our token sale website, and it's going to serve those assets to build the website that it's going to host. So we'll take a look at our project really fast in Sublime Text. I'm going to pull this over here. And, let's just take a quick tour of our project structure. Remember, we had a source directory where we built all of our client-side assets locally. So what we're going to do is create a new directory called docs. That's going to be the folder that GitHub's going to recognize in order to build our website. So we want to take all these files plus these contract abstractions, and we want to build a website that's going to live in a single folder. So when we were developing locally, we used Light Server, and if you remember when we configured Light Server with this BS config file, we took all of the assets from our source directory, and we took all the assets from our build contracts directory, and we essentially just combined those together and exposed them to the root of our project that Light Server knew about in order to kind of run our website locally, right? That's like what this did. That's why we installed this in the first place, was so that we could take files from different places in our project and combine them into one place that we could use to develop a website locally. And that's why we were able to use stuff like getJSON. I'll show you. We used the getJSON method to fetch our contract abstractions, and getJSON allows you to read a JSON file like this, and notice that there's no slash before this or anything like that. There's no path. That's because we were able to just read this from the root of our project. And that's like kind of like what Light Server was doing for us. Now we want to, build a folder that's got all of that in there for free. And we want to essentially write a script that's going to do what Light Server did and, make a build for deployment that's going to go up to GitHub pages. So I'll show you how to do that. First, let's make a directory for our website. We'll say mkdir docs. Okay. We can see that that was created. Next, we want to create a script that's going to take all the files that we want from source and build contracts, and it's going to put them all in that directory. And it's going to do a couple things. That's the first thing it's going to do, but I'll walk you through those step by step. So I'm just going to create a script that we can run in our project. I'll say touch deploy front end.sh. Now this is where your mileage may vary for different operating systems, whether you're on Mac, Linux, Windows, with like PowerShell or something like that. I'm on a Mac, so those are the instructions that I'm going to walk you through. I'll leave it to you to alter that for your own system, but I'm going to make this file first. We'll open our project back in Sublime Text, and let's open this file. So in this file, I'm going to write a script, and the first thing I want to do in this script is basically, move or synchronize all of the files in those two directories that I just showed you, the source directory and the build contract directory. And I want to put them in our docs folder that we just created. Now, you're going to run into issues if you have new folders in here. You can't always just use MV or CP you can't use those bash commands all the time because you don't know what files are going to be there and what directory is going to be there, etc., etc. You don't know how deep those go. So I'm going to use this rsync command like this, rsync-r for recursive, and we'll say source, and we'll say docs. So that's going to take everything recursively from the source directory and go to docs, and it's going to build any necessary folders that we need. I'll say rsync build contracts. We'll say star. We'll go to docs. We'll say git add dot. Well, first of all, let's just do that first. We'll show you what it does. Okay, so first, in order to run this command, to run this script, we need to make this file that we just created, this script, executable. So on a Mac, we can do that like this. We say chmod plus. Basically, we're just changing the permissions of this file to make it executable. And we say deploy frontend.sh. This is the file we just created. All right, and we can run this command like this. Deploy frontend.sh. All right, so let's see what just happened. We can go to our docs folder and see that all of our files have just been created. We can see our index.html file, our migrations file. These are the content abstractions, right? We have the Dapp token sale. We have all our JavaScript files, app.js, all of our dependencies, all our CSS files just for Bootstrap. So those are the first things we want to do, is just to make a build folder essentially. And next, let's go ahead and create this file to actually deploy. Like this just builds it, but let's go ahead and deploy it to GitHub. So we'll say git add everything here. We'll say git commit m, and we'll say compiles assets for GitHub pages. All right, and then we'll just say git push. I'm actually going to say -u origin master. So here I'm going to, so this is what yours should look like, but since I just added my extra remote repository, I'm going to say 2 just for our purposes. So you don't put 2 here. I'm going to put 2 because I just, created that a second ago in the video. So let's try this. Let's see what the readout is. All right, we saw that commit, and we saw this readout like we saw a minute ago when we pushed to GitHub. So let's go to our website, see what happened. All right, I'm going to refresh. And now you can see that there is a new folder here in our project. This is the docs folder, and we can see our commit message. This is, compiles assets for GitHub pages. We can see that same readout here for our script that we just created. And we can go in here. We can say docs, CSS, JS, index.html. We've got everything that we need. We've got all of our JavaScript files in here. Okay, so that was successful. And the next thing we want to do is just set up this repository to serve pages for GitHub. So I can go to the settings tab for my repository, and I can scroll down to GitHub pages. This is, just down here on the first part of the settings page. And we can choose a source for our page. Now, right now, there's nothing there, but we want to select some options. So there's a couple different ways of doing this. You could choose the master branch, and that would, serve all the assets from the root of your project, but that's not really what we want to do because we don't want to just, show all the code in our project. We want to use the docs folder we just created. And that's why we made this, because, GitHub gives you this option to look for that specific folder in order to serve your website. So that's what we're going to choose. We'll click Save. All right, now let's go try and visit our website. Okay, so we can visit our website like this. Go to your URL bar and use this scheme. So you'll take your GitHub account. I'm using this because I have an organization, but this is probably just your username as well. So enter that here, and we say that's your subdomain. We say .github.io, and then /, and then the name of your repository. So I'll click enter, and there we go. There's our token sale website deployed to the web. We can see all of our assets here. I can see the account that I'm connected to. Now, I don't think that I have the right account set up, and I don't think I'm connected to the right network, so we can do that and try to interact with this deploy website. We can also kind of just see our console here to see that there are no errors. I've still got some console logging statements in here, and you all can clean those up if you'd like, so that you don't just needlessly log information here. This is more for development purposes, but I'll leave that to you as an exercise. So yeah, no errors. Looks like everything went smoothly initially. So let's see if we can actually talk to our smart contracts that are deployed to the Rinkeby test network and see if this website is fully functional. So I'm going to change the account. We'll say Rinkeby. All right, and then I'm going to actually connect to the Rinkeby network where our contracts are deployed. All right, so I'm starting to get some data back. This is exciting. We can see that my balance has changed because this is what we did in the last tutorial. We can see that this is the number of tokens that have been sold. We can see the account that we're connected to. Now let's go ahead and try to buy some tokens. We'll click buy tokens, and this is probably going to take a second, so I'll cut the video. We'll confirm with MetaMask and submit, and we'll wait. All right, so that worked. Yeah, this might have taken a second for you. It took a second for me, but we can see that we've successfully purchased the tokens. And so if you had trouble like listening for events and your page refreshing after you deployed, you might need to restart Chrome. That's kind of a known issue with MetaMask, and yeah, that's just something that is a known issue and you might have to cope with. And also, this is probably pretty slow for you at the moment. That's just kind of what you have to expect right now with the Rinkeby Test Network. But yeah, so that's pretty great, guys. We've gotten this website out on the web, so you can see, your token sale website. That is, here. This is a link that you can share around, and you can actually purchase the tokens, and you can do this on the Rinkeby Test Network. So nothing about this is dependent upon our local machine at the moment. This is, a real live Dapp out there in the wild. So congratulations. You have, successfully built your own crypto token ICO. And, you can modify this for your own purposes and change the name and change things around a little bit and kind of build upon this. I'll leave that to you. So for now, this is going to be the conclusion of the Code Your Own Cryptocurrency and Build Your Own ICO series. So be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you can see more videos about developing decentralized applications on the Ethereum blockchain. And until then, thanks for watching Dapp University.